All guests on ZASLOW Show 2.0 brought to us by the official beer of the program, Johnny Cuba. European roots with that Caribbean soul, a refreshing German lager in a can. You can pick up a six-pack of your own at your local Winn-Dixie or Sedano's, Presidente, Fresco y Mas. Don't forget Johnny Cuba's mantra, of course, stay tranquilo. That's how I will be enjoying the Panthers action tonight. And joining us now, one of the all-time great Florida Panthers, former captain, Bally Sports Panthers analyst, Ed Jovanovski. Jovo, good to see you. Good to speak with you the first time this season. And I think the timing was right to get you on today because, man, tonight is going to be a rocking atmosphere at Amerant Bank Arena. Are you pumped for tonight?
I am, and Zaz, thanks for having me on. Listen, right the day before Thanksgiving, everybody's in that, great mood. A lot of things to be thankful for, and obviously going to the game with some history, right? The last year, obviously the way the playoffs, kind of went down, and then this year, kind of for the Panther side of things, kind of giving up a 2-goal lead and losing that game. But yeah, overall, you look at these two teams, 1 and 2 in the Atlantic. I think there's a lot to play for. Very excited for this one tonight.
So it's a national broadcast. It's a TNT game, which is cool because I like that the national audience is going to see what has been building with this fan base. The building has been so great so far this year. This is what happens when you string together multiple seasons in a row of success. So I like that everyone's going to get to see how great that building is going to look tonight, how good the team looks. But what is your setup tonight? So you're still going to the game. What's your experience now till you get to just enjoy it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Just going there as a big super fan of the team. Anytime they get up for, these games and it'd be nice to work them, right? I think if Bally had this game and good on the Panthers, I think it's 12 or 14. I don't know. National broadcasted games for the Panthers. That's a significant amount of games that this team has gotten this year. So it shows kind of where this team has evolved. People want to see the Panthers play. So and to be against the Bruins, that much more exciting. But certainly tonight, a couple cold ones in the suite watching the game. I'm looking forward to it.
What were the playoffs like for you? Now I know you guys were only working the first round of the playoffs,
correct,
right? Yeah. Okay. So it was against Boston. So what was that experience like? I mean, are you nervous during the games? Because you're also working. You got to keep it together. I mean, I was a mess watching at home. What was it like working playoff games?
Well, you're just as fired up. Being a former player, I think you miss that adrenaline rush, but you catch it on the other side. Fortunate enough to broadcast the games. I think you're still excited for the team, and come playoff time, everything is magnified, right? So every little play can go a long way during the game. And I think that series, Zaz, I mean, come on. I mean, it was like the roller coaster was crazy, especially being down 3-1. Now you're looking at it like, hey, listen, let's fight to, live another day. For the players aspect of it, just got to win one game at a time. And before you know it, we find ourselves in a game 7, right? And the game 7 was just, from the roller coaster of emotions throughout that game, and then finding a way late to tie it and win it then. But from a broadcaster's point or an analyst point, I wouldn't say as exciting as, obviously the players' experience, but certainly happy for them. And because you develop that relationship with the guys, covering the team, so you're happy for them, you're happy for the organization. So a lot of emotions definitely go on that. And for me, on a personal level, being on this team before and covering them now, it's just that much more special seeing them win.
One of the things I love about hockey, and that makes it different from the other sports, in the NBA, let's say, if teams like when the Heat and Nuggets play this year in the regular season, they're going to tell you it's just another game. All right.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. In hockey, they're so honest in hockey. Like the first game in Boston this year, the head coach for the Bruins, he was asked about it. Is it just another game? It's like, No, we got something extra tonight. This team made our summer miserable. They ruined
Right.
our season. This game means more to us. I love that about hockey.
Yeah, I mean, you carry that, right? And that's all, I wouldn't say hatred. I mean, you look at that series, it got to be rough, and just the way it ended for Boston, you're not happy. And the coach was right. I mean, it just made it for a long, miserable summer for this team, especially a team that's won the President's Trophy and kind of getting bounced in the first round. It was very tough on them, but you hear a little bit of that too in the NHL, just another game. And I think once you get into it, yeah, you're playing to win. But I tell you what, if you're not ready to play, tonight, it could be a long night, for the Florida Panthers. I imagine that, especially with Boston, the way they pissed away last game in Tampa with 4 seconds left, Stamkos scoring and then losing in overtime. I know they got their dads on the trip. It's a dad's trip. So they're even extra motivation for these guys to come out and play well. And obviously the history last year. Is it another game? Yes, it's early in the season, but these are top 2 teams in the division. And for Florida Panthers, you got to take care of home ice, let them know who's boss there. But overall, I think the emotions will be there. It's going to be a physical game. Boston never seems to disappoint in that area. So it's going to be a hard-fought game. And you always want to win that game day before Thanksgiving because it makes that meal that much better.
How I know the team mentioned recently they love the crowds that have been at the games.
Awesome.
They love the energy. I think it's 3 straight sellouts, maybe. I'm sure tonight is also going to be a sellout. It's just it matters to the guys, right? Having that atmosphere, yeah?
Absolutely. And you heard Coach Maurice talk about it last game in his post-game meeting with the media. The guys feed off it. And what's even more special is when you're playing teams, you're having everyone in red and white. There's not other teams' jersey in the stands. And I think that the Florida Panthers fans really taken over American Bank Arena and really kind of making it, our rink. And it says a lot on a Monday night. I know the Chiefs and Eagles were playing on Monday night. There's a lot of things to do. To have a sellout, Edmonton, I understand Draisaitl, McDavid are there and it's must see. But overall, I think I can't look back from on a Monday night to be a sold out barn like that, to have the atmosphere like that. And I don't expect anything different tonight. It's going to be raucous in there. It's going to really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, and like Monday, it wasn't like, yes, it's a Canadian team and you got Snowbirds, but it wasn't the Maple Leafs. It wasn't the Canadiens. It's Edmonton, and yes, you got McDavid and you got Draisaitl, but the place was bouncing. I mean,
right.
It's really what I've been waiting for my entire life as a Panther fan, where it's not just me who cares about the team. It's everyone. Like everyone cares now about this team. They finally have that great atmosphere. It's so damn cool. I want to talk to you about the Panthers defense and what's going on right now. I know defense was an area certainly most of last year that you would like to improve upon going into this year. And hell, they just got Montour and Ekblad back, which is a major boost. But I feel with additions like Mikola and certainly Oliver Ekman-Larsson, this defense is much improved this year, right?
Absolutely. And holding the fort, the guy Kulikov, Mikola coming in there, OEL. Missing these 2 guys at the start of the year, you didn't know which direction this was going to go because it was always kind of a sore spot for the Florida Panthers, the back end, taking care of the puck. And now you take out 2 guys that munch about 25, 26 minutes a night. You're putting the onus on players who probably haven't been in that predicament before or played that much. They held their own. They played the right way. Good team defense. And now you add these 2 guys back in the fold. Their D is stronger than ever. Mikola is a big guy, covers a lot of ice, rambles up the ice, had a couple goals last game. OEL is really coming. I played with OEL as a rookie when he was in Arizona. You can tell this guy, was going to be a star in the league, and he still got years left. Kulikov coming back, steady defenseman. So now the question is, decisions got to be made. You can rotate guys in and out of the lineup, keep everybody feeling good. But what I really like about the group on the back end is these 1-goal games. They're finding ways, to to win these hockey games. And it comes with good defense and great goaltending, obviously. So I think team defense, they're playing the right way. The buy-in is there, and the depth of this team. You look around the league, like, for example, Edmonton. You look at Edmonton's lineup, getting away from their 3 or 4 forwards up front, their bottom 6, you can't win that way in this league. So when you look at what Bill Zito has done with this team, bringing in guys, they all can play, can roll 4 lines, and that's how you win championships. And you balance that lineup out, and it's a good sign to see with this group.
And it feels like Bill Zito did it again where, I mean, Kevin Stenlund, I think, has already matched his career high in goals. How does he keep finding guys like this, in the value bin in the offseason,
Well, the way the cap here is now, obviously, you're paying your handful of guys, and you got so much, only a certain amount of money left to kind of pencil these guys in. And Stenlund coming in, I think these guys are hungry. Your younger guys, you want to prolong your career. You come to a situation where you're not, I don't want to say underpaid, because everyone's making great money. But you're put into a situation, and I think they're slotted exactly where these guys need to be. Third and fourth line guys that are going to contribute, that are going to work hard. You know what you're getting from these guys, and the buy-in is there. When a player has his role identified by the coach, say, this is your job, this is how I expect you to play. And I think that's the message that's coming from Coach Maurice to these guys. Everyone knows what their role is. And if they all execute that way, I think they'll be in good shape.
From your experience around the guys so far this season, and going back to, like, let's say this time last season, how different is the mentality? Like, how different do you feel it is based on, all right, this time last year, new coach, it was struggle city for most of the regular season. And now, based on the run they had, understanding what Paul Maurice wants out of them, even on Monday night, they're down 2-0 in the first period. I'm like, all right, it'll be okay.
They'll win.
Yeah, like, it could be okay.
Right.
Like, how different is it around the core guys this year compared to last year?
Well, the experience, obviously, last year is invaluable. I mean, these runs that you make is only going to help you long term. But this team is like a win now. And I think that's where this team is. The core is experience, a lot of good things, the disappointment. And, I think the message coming into training camp, I don't know if you were at training camp at all, but man, I tell you what, the work that was put into that training camp for these guys to make sure that they're ready to drop of the puck. They had an easiest schedule at the start. And with the injuries, they knew it was imperative to come out and have, that start that they're having right now. But the hunger is there. And that's what I notice of these guys. And they don't care who it is, as long as at the end of the night, they're getting the job done and they're putting 2 points in the bank and they're climbing up the standings. And, obviously teams are judged kind of what happens in the playoffs. I think this team is expected to make the playoffs. This team now is taking that next step. And I think that's where we're all kind of hoping that this team gets to.
Do you believe that you got to hurt a little bit before you get to the top? And
for sure.
Yeah. And that hurt, obviously, coming from losing last year in the finals.
Right. And you look at all the teams, like look at Colorado. I mean, a couple of years in a row, they've kind of, hurt and disappointment. But sometimes you got to get that, real fire in you where, it stings a lot. And I think for this team, the last handful of years, not only has the team done it the right way, take care of your core guys, build around that, develop your draft picks, plug them in here and there, make nice UFA signings, and kind of build around your core guys and let them develop and win together and lose together. And eventually, hopefully, that lesson is taught where you're kind of get to that next level and know what it takes to win.
Now, I haven't spoken to you since the end of the run last year, and I've always contended, and we were talking 20, however many years it was, 26 years since, the Stanley Cup Finals last time in 1996, and that Billy Lindsay's goal was the greatest moment in Florida Panther history. I think after last postseason, I think it's dropped down to number 3. All right. After all these years as number 1, I think it's now number 3. I think Verhaeghe, Game 7 in Boston, surpassed it in that moment. And then I think Tkachuk, Game 4 against Carolina, surpassed that to clinch the Eastern Conference Championship. What do you make of that?
I like it. What about Bobrovsky's save on Marchand, though?
Yeah. How close we were to none of it happening.
I know, right? It's that you just the timing, how big of a save that was, how the puck deflected to Montour to keep that play alive off his knee, came right to his stick, throws it on net. It's a goal. So, I mean, listen, you get your breaks, you work for your breaks, but along the line, there's a little luck that goes in there, and every team experiences. But certainly there's many moments. But your two moments, obviously, we're not advancing without those huge goals. So I like them.
It's amazing how it could work. I mean, the goal, and from a fan perspective, I really wish they won the Stanley Cup last year, but I don't know, the way that the whole postseason made me feel. There were so many moments, 7-0 in overtime, there were so many moments that last year's postseason, they didn't even win. And it was the most fun I've had as a sports fan.
Right. And how about maybe not having your A game throughout the game and getting into overtime? This team, the way they flipped that switch into overtime, there wasn't one overtime game that this team will not win. Right from the drop of the puck, they seem to dominate. It's like their conditioning just took another level. But you just had that confidence in this group that they were going to find a way to get it done, no matter who it was. I mean, you go up and down the list, you have confidence in anyone getting done. And the kind of role that Bobrovsky was on was insane. So you knew that he was going to make that save when he needed to and to give an opportunity for his team to win.
I felt really good for Bobrovsky because obviously, he was, up and down in his tenure here, the fan base and all of that. But for me, he's golden in my book now. He did exactly what they brought him here to do, carried the team to the Stanley Cup final. And that's my guy moving forward. I'm good with Bobrovsky. I felt really good for him.
Absolutely. Because, it comes down to goalies take a lot of the brunt, right? I mean, it's a team game, but it comes down to, you look at it happened in Edmonton, you look at the goalies, goals against average and their save percentage, and that'll give you a perfect reasoning why the coach was fired, right? You need goaltending. And the way that season went for Bob, obviously up and down, Alex Lyon carrying the load, Bob going back in, and it's just a brutal spot, right? Down 3-1 going in. Hey, listen, here you go, Bob. There's your net. This win game at a time, but veteran goalie's been there before. No panic in his game. And he's carried it over. I mean, you gotta have the confidence in him each and every night that if he sees the puck, he will make that save. And I think the guys in front of him have really done a good job on boxing out and really making his life a little bit easier, because you don't mind the grade A chances. It's just how many of them can you hope your goalie saves?
Yeah. As an alumni and and someone who obviously works for the team still, and someone who was on the team the last time they were in the Stanley Cup final, how did it feel when they clinched it last year against Carolina after the Tkachuk goal? Because, man, Billy Lindsay was working for NHL Network that night, and they were able to get him on camera behind the scenes celebrating. And then when they went live, he couldn't keep it together. He was so emotional. How was that for you?
It was emotional. I mean, just, obviously being around hockey my whole life, and I was given the opportunity, start my career in Florida. So I got a lot of ties here, live here. But just excited for the guys. Still know a handful of guys that I played with. But I just know the work and how hard it is to win, and to have these guys the opportunity, especially the way they did it, right? I mean, it was a grind all year, and they were hearing it from every which way. The coach was hearing it, and it just came together for them. So, for me, it was emotional. I was excited. I really, obviously hoped that there was a parade and that I'd be able to somehow drink out of that cup with the boys and party and do all that fun stuff. But you can see they're banged up. And you saw the press conference after. I mean, guys were banged up. I mean, obviously, we just got 2 of them back, from long shoulder recoveries. We got broken sternums. So it's a price you pay to win. But when you do kind of get it, I mean, it's that pinnacle, and that's what we play for.
Such a great game. Such a great game. I'm really excited about tonight. Tonight's going to be a lot of fun. Ed, excellent job. Always love having you on the show. Have fun at the game tonight, man.
All right, Zaz, anytime, buddy. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.